Friends of Oak Hills, this is Pastor Dale with our weekly video Touchpoint. Today is Thursday, July 3rd, 2025. In fact, we have not had a weekly video Touchpoint the last few weeks. I've been out of town and out of pocket, and we've had some guest writers for Touchpoint. And so whenever we have a guest writer, we don't do a video Touchpoint. But here I am back and glad to be with you. Today for our Points to Ponder article, I'm sharing a recap of General Assembly. Our denomination, the Presbyterian Church in America, held its annual General Assembly last week in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Over 2,200 commissioners were in attendance. Teaching elders, that is, pastors and assistant pastors, and ruling elder representatives from each church of our denomination can attend this annual meeting that addresses matters that pertain to the whole denomination. One of the distinctives of the Presbyterian form of government is connectionalism. We value the connections we have with fellow ministers and churches for collaborative ministry efforts and accountability. Pastor John and Brett Willoughby and myself were able to attend GA this year. A lot takes place. It's an action-packed, jam-packed 2.5 days of business. And I'd like to just draw your attention to a few of the highlights from last week. So number one, the theme of the week was Lift Up Your Eyes. GA is hosted by local presbyteries who spend years preparing for the worship services. There's one each of the nights. The need for hundreds of volunteers to serve in a variety of roles and coordinating women's and children's activities throughout the assembly time. The host presbytery also selects the theme that shapes the focus of the worship services. This year, Tennessee Valley Presbytery was the host, and they selected this theme, Lift Up Your Eyes. You hear it multiple times in Scripture. The 3 sermons that we heard in the 3 worship services called us to lift up our eyes, to look to the Lord in His glory and majesty, and let the worship of God be our primary goal, our primary passion of all that we do. Number 2, there has been a change in our stated clerk. Brian Chappell, who has served in this role for our denomination for over the last 5 years, announced his retirement at the beginning of June. The stated clerk is elected by the General Assembly and serves kind of like the chief operating officer for our denomination. The administrative committee, which oversees the clerk's office and the work of the clerk, did not have sufficient time to present a long-term permanent replacement for Brian Chappell. So they called on John Bice to assume this role in a temporary manner until next year when GA will have opportunity to elect our next stated clerk. John Bice has been a long-time ruling elder in Huntsville, Alabama, and he has served our denomination in a variety of roles for many years. Number 3, the growth of the PCA. The stated clerk gives a report each GA about the state of our denomination, which includes a lot of statistical reports. The reports from 2024 show that the PCA continues to grow in its number of churches that we have and the number of members that we have in our churches. This is remarkable since almost every denomination in America is reporting decline, not growth. PCA stands out in that way. Number 4, agency reports. The PCA has 9 agencies which give themselves to specific ministry focus or needs. A couple examples, we have Mission to the World, MTW, and this is our missions agency that provides infrastructure for cross-cultural ministry efforts all over the globe, sending over 500 full-time missionaries in various locations. Then there's Mission to North America, MNA. This guides our denomination's efforts in church planting and revitalizing churches. Other agencies include Covenant College, Covenant Theological Seminary, and Ridgehaven Conference Center, just to name a few of them. Each agency is under the authority of the General Assembly, and each agency must give a report each year. GA then votes to approve any proposed macro level changes that are taking place in the agency, and GA votes to approve the budget for each agency. M&A's report caused a stir this year when the coordinator for M&A reported that there was a $1.9 million deficit in 2024. This deficit was the result of rising expenses for the recent push for church planting, along with the shortfall in donations. Thankfully, this agency, M&A, has made adjustments to the budget in order to course correct this financial shortfall. Number 5, Book of Church Order Amendments. The Book of Church Order is one of our constitutional documents that guides the government and discipline of our church. The BCO, for shorthand, can be amended through a 3-step process. First, a General Assembly must approve the proposed amendment. Second, over the course of the following year, presbyteries each will vote on the proposed amendment. 2/3 of the presbyteries, we have 87 presbyteries in the PCA, 2/3 of the presbyteries must vote to agree with the proposed amendment. And then third, the following GEA must vote again to approve the amendment before it goes into effect. This deliberative process is to ensure that changes to our Constitution are very carefully thought out before they're implemented. Several such amendments were on the docket for GA this year. Some were rejected and some were approved. One such amendment that was approved relates to the examination of ruling elders and deacons in the local church. If this amendment passes the second and third step of that amendment process, candidates for these offices will need to state in writing for the record any differences they may hold with the Westminster Confession of Faith and our catechisms. This examination process, this step in that examination process will help preserve the doctrinal fidelity and the doctrinal unity of our denomination. And number 6, the formation of a study committee on Christian nationalism. The last thing I want to highlight is this formation of a study committee. Our denomination has formed and funded study committees on various topics throughout the decades of our existence. These study committees have sought to provide clarity on topics with which the church is wrestling. Recent committee reports have included one on domestic abuse and sexual assault, and another on human sexuality. I provide links to those reports in the print or written Touchpoint, and if you want to read those reports, you're welcome to. This year, GA approved the formation of a committee to study the issue of Christian nationalism. There is and has been much confusion and division around this topic, and specifically the role of the church in relationship to American politics. Lord willing, the committee report will provide some unifying clarity on this topic for us as we think about our place in the American political system. This just gives you a small window into the activity of General Assembly this year. If you're interested, you can read a fuller recap that is provided by our denominational magazine, By Faith, which is digital only. So you have to go to their website, and we have a link here in the article to read the full recap of General Assembly, all about the various amendments being proposed, some rejected, some being approved. If you're interested in reading all about that, it's there at By Faith. And I don't know the full website off the top of my head. I am thankful to be a part of a denomination that continues to seek to be faithful to the Scriptures, true to the Reformed faith, and obedient to the Great Commission. A few highlights to draw your attention to as we enter into this holiday weekend. First, for July, our missionaries of the month will be none other than our church plant effort. The church plant being called New Song, Kansas City. Pastor John is the church planner, and his fiancee, Abby Baber, is going to be joining him with those efforts. And so we are beginning to include them in the rotation of our missionaries of the month, because this is a missions effort to plant a church in a new location, to see the gospel go forth and people come to know Christ through these this church work. So some things to be praying for regarding this church plant. Pray specifically for John and Abby as they prepare to be married this fall and as they begin to work together in laying the groundwork for the church plant. Abby is moving here to the area this weekend. She's going to be here, and it's going to be a new chapter in their relationship as they prepare for wedding day coming up this fall. But pray for fundraising. So a church planting effort like this requires the funds to meet the budget, meet the needs. And John is going to be working that effort to fundraise for the church plant, and pray that God would provide those funds and meet the financial need for that. And then lastly, just to highlight here today, pray for relational connections. John is intentionally, and with Abby now moving here, they're going to be intentionally seeking to build relationships and connections with people in their target area. They're looking to plant the church, have a church formed and meet in the Westport area of Kansas City. And so John and Abby are spending time there, getting to meet people, seeking to build relationships. Pray that God would open up the door for gospel conversations, for opportunities to share the hope of Christ, and begin to build that momentum of drawing a group of people who are interested in that church plant. Next, we want to just highlight that we are holding a Serve Day, Saturday, July 12th. This is our desire to be a good neighbor in Shawnee, in our area of Shawnee, as a church where we are loving our neighbor as ourselves. And there's various ways that we are going to be serving for that day. And we'd love for everyone in our church to be a part of that. We've heard many people talking about being a part of it, but not as many people have signed up. We need you to sign up. There's a link in the Touchpoint. There's been a link provided at church. Use that link. You sign up for whatever way that you plan to help serve during that day. And there's more information if you follow that link to understand what are the various projects. Some are crafty, some are just serving in the community. Others are construction related. So be a part of that. And last, I just want to highlight Joyplosion is coming July 29th through 31st, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings. This is a highlight for many of us each year as we serve our kids in our congregation. We invite kids from the community and the neighborhood to join us for opportunity to celebrate Christ and the hope we have in Christ. We have a blast. We have a good time, unique and wonderful activities for our kids to participate in. We look forward to it. Registration is now open. You can find it on our website, oakhillspca.com. Share that link with friends, neighbors, invite people to be a part of Joyplosion. Pray with us that God would move in the hearts of people to come and be a part of it as we advertise for it in various avenues to invite people in our community. Just pray that God would use that to draw people to be a part of what we're doing at Joyplosion. Well, thank you for joining me today for our Touchpoint. Look forward to being with you this weekend for worship.